In a quiet valley surrounded by misty hills, there lived a boy named Aarav. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't careless, but his thoughts were like wind, always moving, never staying still. If he opened a book, within minutes his eyes would drift to the window. If he started writing, his hands would stop to check his phone. His teacher said he was brilliant, but wasted brilliance is like an unlit lamp. Aarav's father, Mr. Raghav, often said, "Beta, the strongest man is not the one who lifts heavy weights. It's the one who lifts his wandering thoughts and puts them back on the path." But Aarav would laugh it off. He always thought, "It's fine, I'll focus tomorrow." And like every tomorrow, that tomorrow never came. One day, the village announced the arrival of a wise monk, Swami Vivekananda. A man said to guide lost minds back to light. People said even kings had traveled to seek his wisdom. Aarav's father took him there. The ashram was simple, a few trees, a stream, and birds singing somewhere far away. Swami Vivekananda sat beneath a banyan tree, his eyes closed in peace. Aarav's father bowed and said, "Guruji, my son is intelligent, but his mind runs wild." The monk smiled gently, looked at Aarav, and said, "If you wish to rule your world, learn to rule your thoughts first." Then, without another word, he gave Aarav a task. He handed him a small brass bowl filled with milk and said, "Walk around the temple courtyard 3 times, but remember, not a single drop should fall." It sounded easy. Aarav nodded confidently and started walking. But as he stepped forward, children were laughing nearby, parrots screeched from the trees. And a breeze made the temple bells ring. He looked around, and just a few drops spilled. He tried again, but this time he tripped slightly on a stone, more milk spilled. By the time he finished the 3rd round, half the bowl was empty. Swami Vivekananda looked at him and asked softly, "What happened, my son?" Aarav looked down, embarrassed. "Guruji, I tried, but there were so many sounds, so many things happening. I got distracted." The monk smiled and said, "This bowl is your dream. The milk is your focus. The sounds around you are the distractions of life. If you let them control your mind, you'll never reach your goal with a full heart." Those words cut deep. Aarav didn't speak, but something shifted inside him. That night, as he lay on his bed, his father's words echoed again. "Lift your thoughts and place them back on the path." He stared at the ceiling for a long time, and for the first time in his life, he decided. "Tomorrow, I begin." The next morning, before the sun rose, Aarav sat by his window and closed his eyes. He tried to meditate, but his mind raced faster than ever. He thought of his school, his friends, even breakfast. But every time it wandered, he pulled it back, again and again. Minutes felt like hours, but he didn't give up. He started small, waking up at the same time, keeping his phone in another room while studying, giving full attention to one task at a time. At first, he failed 100 times, but he remembered the bowl of milk, and he tried again. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Slowly, his focus grew sharper. He began finishing tasks faster, remembering lessons longer, and feeling calmer inside. A year passed. One morning, the school announced a national logic championship, a challenge where students had to solve complex puzzles within minutes. The winner would represent the entire state. This was his chance, not to prove others wrong, but to prove himself. He entered. The competition hall was silent except for the ticking of the clock. Around him, students were whispering nervously, their pens shaking. But Aarav took a deep breath, remembering Swami Vivekananda's voice. "Keep your milk full."
He started with the first question. One problem at a time. One breath at a time. While others panicked, he stayed still. Calm as water, focused as fire. When the results were announced, the entire hall erupted. Aarav had won first place in the nation. Reporters wanted interviews. His teachers couldn't stop praising him. But all he did was smile quietly and say, "I only learned to protect my thoughts from running away." Weeks later, he returned to Swami Vivekananda's ashram, holding the golden trophy. The monk looked at it, then at Aarav, and said, "Keep this not as proof of victory, but as a reminder that the real win is the silence within your mind." Aarav bowed. He knew this lesson would stay with him forever. Years later, Aarav became a mentor for young students struggling with distraction. He never lectured, never scolded. He would just pour a little milk in a brass bowl and say, "Try walking 3 rounds without spilling a drop." And when the students returned, frustrated or thoughtful, he would smile because he knew they had just begun their journey. Every great change starts from within. The world outside is loud. Phones, noise, fear, and chaos. But the battle for peace is always fought inside your own mind. So today, as you listen to this story, remember, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You only need to be the one who can stay focused when the world shakes around you. That is how legends are made. That is how destinies are written.